Well, today is the 17th of August, Monday, a day when the MOU has died. We have been talking about it for a while, and earlier today we had our geopolitical military analyst, Larry Johnson, talk about it. But we want you to have the perspective from somebody highly respected, different perspective, a woman's perspective also, and that we are proud to bring to you of our contributor, our a part of our channel, Sabrina, who is here in the studio, and I would like to invite all of you to listen to her as well, so that you are informed about how everybody who's respected in this field thinks, because they have their own unique position. So, welcome, Sabrina, to the channel. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Big things that are happening right now. Obviously, of course, we know the MOU is dead, as you mentioned earlier. Iran has issued a statement. There's a couple of things that is happening. Number one, there was a report from the IRGC that they believe that Qatar has captured three of Iran's pilots. Now, this goes back to a mission from weeks ago. But Iran is saying that they believe these pilots have not returned. There were four originally, one of them has died. The other three, Iran believes that Qatar is holding those pilots hostage. Qatar has announced that that is not the case, but also I would caution people to believe what Qatar says. You have to remember they are siding along with the West, and Qatar is basically a puppet of the United States government. So you just have to keep that in mind. But the IRGC issued a written statement about that. So there's that aspect. And that leads me into this new statement from Iran, where they are saying that they are going to go on the offensive. They are not going to play defense anymore. And that they're basically going to play the US and Israel's game against them. They are saying that if this blockade does not end, the US blockade does not end, there will be an all out war. This is the information that is coming through the pipeline on Monday. And that leads me to this statement that just came from Marjorie Taylor Greene, because this is a big one. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, and this is on X and other platforms as well, they are discussing using nuclear weapons on Iran in strategy meetings. Yes, you read that correctly. It's real. I'm not speculating. I know, and it's pure evil. Trump and his administration were told by our own intelligence that Iran was nowhere near creating a nuclear weapon. Then Israel said the same line. It's repeated for decades. Iran is only weeks away. So we bombed anyway, killed their leaders and innocent children in a school, and Iran has controlled the Strait of Hormuz ever since and punished the region for their part in it. She goes on to say Trump promised no more foreign wars, but may actually be the one who delivers a nuclear holocaust. This is a statement that was shared by her today, Monday, on X. For those who are not aware, Marjorie Taylor Greene is pretty close with former CIA member Joe Kent, who is collaborating alongside her and, of course, Thomas Massey and Tucker Carlson to try to start a third political party in the United States. So she is close to someone who is former intelligence. And this is the information that is being reported. Of course, the White House is trying to deny this, but a leak happened somewhere, and that's how this information got out. So the fact that Iran is saying that they are going on the offensive, I mean, this speaks volumes considering what these conversations are between Donald Trump and others in the Situation Room at this point in time. The fact that the US government is even considering, and this is not the first time this has been brought up, considering using nuclear weapons against Iran, we are headed for a long, long mess here in the Middle East.
Well, Sabrina, I can second that, and I can actually add a little bit more context to that as well, because we heard that as well from informed sources. And those sources told us that Trump was in Camp David over the weekend, as everybody knows, and he was being told that the war is not going anywhere, that he's cornered, that he has no option other than to simply withdraw with some dignity left, and of course, he doesn't want to do that because he would be labeled a loser, and he doesn't want to be a loser, even though he's a loser. He's a born loser, keeps on losing, but keeps on getting rescued. In any case, so we were told by informed sources that he brought up the idea as to why can't we, throw atomic bombs on them? Not one, multiple atomic bombs on them. And the chief of defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said that would be absolutely ludicrous and stupid, and walked him back. So he was walked back, and this was the second time that he has brought this up. I mean, in his mind, he's secure, he gets everything. So who cares if a million people died? And the Strait of Hormuz is forever polluted, so that no ships can cross there, so that 1/4 of the world's oil supply doesn't reach where it needs to go, so that fertilizer doesn't get to all the places in the world where food needs to be grown, where helium doesn't go to places where helium is needed for the production of IC chips. He doesn't care about any of this. I mean, when you elect a corrupt, criminal Bulgarian, which is what he is, this is what you get. He wants to throw atomic bombs because, he's cornered. He's completely cornered. So
Yeah.
I can second that, and I can confirm that what you have just said is in fact true. Not only Marjorie Taylor Greene, but this comes to us, transition protocol, from our informed sources through the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Yeah. Um, it's getting really scary. There has already been an alert that has been put out as well that we could have a food shortage in 2027 because of the fertilizer situation with the Strait of Hormuz, because of the blockage on the Strait of Hormuz at this point in time. And so it'll be interesting to see how long Donald Trump tries to drag this out, but I wouldn't put anything past him at this point in time. Apparently, he wanted South Korea to intervene here, to also get involved. And so now he's already making threats there, just to get people to understand what's happening on the global stage when it comes to this war in Iran. Donald Trump issued this statement as well. He said, based on a very good relationship with Kim Jong un of North Korea, I am happy with the fact that the U.S. has long ago agreed to participate in joint military exercises with South Korea. These exercises are not only costly, with much of these costs paid for by the U.S., but send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Trump, talking about himself here, has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Therefore, and based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I have instructed the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to substantially reduce the joint military exercises in South Korea. While somewhat unrelated, I recently asked the president of South Korea if they would like to join us in the denuclearization of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they said no thanks. So now it seems as though Donald Trump is now, I guess, trying to cozy up to again Kim Jong Un in North Korea, because South Korea will not choose to intervene to stop Iran. Um, this is what has really been happening, guys, like behind the scenes. Donald Trump publicly is putting on a good face, and I mean, I think a lot of his supporters are falling for it. He's convincing them that Iran is losing. He's convincing them that he has the upper hand. However, behind the scenes, Donald Trump is reaching out to leaders of other countries that are considered U.S. allies, still trying to get them to get involved in this, war against Iran. What it really shows you is that the grand scheme of things, he knows that the U.S. is losing. He knows that the U.S. cannot beat Iran. So he is still actively trying to pursue other leaders to intervene here to help him. And that's why it's even gotten to the point where, because they're rejecting to do so, he's even considering wanting to use a nuclear weapon yet once again. Now, the question then becomes, I wonder if Israel is going to try to strike Iran again sometime soon to get the ball rolling back again. And then also with that statement from Iran where they said that they are now on offense, it may not even come to that. Like Iran may take, the first blow or actually do the first shot here. I don't know. But what I do know is that this is sheer panic that is coming from the White House to go along with all of this. There are more complaints that are coming from those ships that are overseas. We talked before about the USS Abraham Lincoln, about the complaints that are happening with the crew members aboard that ship. But now there are more complaints that are coming from these other ships, like the USS Boxer, where the crew members there are saying that they are also running out of hygiene items. They are having food difficulties there as well. This is just not looking good at all, and parents have gotten involved. Parents are speaking to the media, telling the media that their kids are telling them things are not okay. So it's just an overall horrible look, of course, the US government and the Trump administration, but also it just goes to show you that they have no plan. Those ships that are just sitting there are just intimidation, basically. The USS Abraham Lincoln is just sitting there. Now, it's supposed to be moving out now after these complaints went public via corporate media, but they said another ship is supposed to come in and replace that one. There's no plan here, you guys. It's just he's just winging it. And I think the reason why he's becoming more hostile is because it's being brought to his attention by generals and others that you can't just wing war, especially war with a country like Iran that is immensely powerful.
Unhinged is the right word, Sabrina. Unhinged. He is unhinged to begin with, and now he's completely unhinged. So I have some additional reporting, Sabrina, that I would like to share with our audience, and that is that Mojtaba Khamenei, who is the supreme leader of Iran, he was severely injured, the son of the previous supreme leader, and was elected again to lead Iran, and he is the supreme leader according to their constitution. So he is now well and recovered, and he has taken charge. He was always more on the strident side than his dad. His dad was in his 80s, old, and also was not so anxious to stand up to the United States. 50 years of sanctions. This country has been living under 50 years of sanctions, which is almost the entire time of this leader has been on this earth. So in any case, our reporting is that he is now emerged as a powerful figure. He has taken control. He has his right hand person, Mohsen Rezaei, as the head of IRGC, who is controlling the IRGC, very, very powerful military force of Iran. And and now he has also mended his relationship with the president, who's a civilian leader, Pezeshkian, mended his relationships with the Speaker of the Parliament, the number three most powerful person in Iran, and he has mended his relations with Iraqi. Now, so they have a unity, and they're combined in their vision of Iran not being constantly under sanctions. So they are making more and more statements to the effect, we are tired of it. We are not going to be in a defensive posture anymore. We are going to go on the offense. Now, what does that mean? That means that all these ships that are surrounding us, creating a naval blockade, which is an act of war according to the United Nations, we are going to take unilateral actions to get ourselves out of this jam. And what that might mean is that they sink one or two ships, and they have the ability to do that. I mean, that's why all these ships are 300, 500 kilometers away, from Iran, anywhere near the Strait of Hormuz. Trump talks about being a master of the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to declare Strait of Hormuz as a part of the United States. There's another unhinged rant that he did, but they're far away because the military people know that if they get any closer in the range where Iran can hit them, there's nothing they can do about it. So I submit to you, Sabrina, that we are in a really, really bad position. I mean, we are sitting watching the calm sea, not recognizing that a storm is brewing, a big storm.
A big one indeed. There is new threats as well from Trump against Oman. Recently came out today. He is threatening to bomb Oman again if they don't behave the way that he wants them to. Um, it's embarrassing at this point in time on the world stage. He has lost support from some of his supporters, not just the independents that were right leaning, but from some of his supporters because of this. But the reality is, we're looking at a big issue here come 2027 with the economy because of this war. If those if the fertilizer doesn't continue to flow to those farmers, we're in trouble come 2027. And that's what they're sounding the alarm about right now to people, just to make them aware. This needs to be wrapped up pretty quickly. We're already in a deficit. So we're already operating with a deficit and trying to get back to where we normally were with the supply chain, with oil and fertilizer and all of that. That in itself is going to take some time. And then to go along with that, to continue to have like this blockade, things are only going to get worse. I think that Donald Trump, his style of making a deal, the way that this has worked for him in the past with other world leaders or with any other situation, it is not working with Iran. He had to learn the hard way that you cannot bully a country that has been under sanctions for all these years, a country that has weapons that are vastly advanced, as we've seen throughout this war, a country that has some of the best scientists in the world. You can't bully this axis of the resistance. And then to go along with that, you also have Ansar Allah, who is striking Saudi Arabia pretty hard, by the way. And from what I've seen, even though Saudi Arabia formed that defense pact with Turkey and Pakistan, I have not seen any retaliation from Turkey and Pakistan against Ansar Allah. So remember the saying was, if you strike one of them, you strike all of them, right? So this is the reality here is on the ground. We have run out of a lot of weapons here in the United States. It's greatly depleted. We also have Zelensky still asking for weapons, by the way. So we have a weapon shortage in the US. Not a good place to be in right now. Saudi Arabia also has a shortage of weapons. You know who doesn't have a shortage of weapons? Iran.
Absolutely. Not only they don't have a shortage, our reporting, which comes from inside Iran, is that they are full speed ahead in manufacturing better and better and more lethal weapons, because they are getting support from China, support from Russia, support from Pakistan. The Pakistani technicians are embedded in Iran, discreetly, because they don't want them to be, publicly known. Pakistan and China are very close. So China and Pakistan have a lot of technical knowledge that they share between each other, and now it's being passed on to Iran. Additionally, there are six different entry points into Iran via Pakistan. So Iran is not isolated, not at all isolated. Caspian Sea is completely open, a route to Russia, that is. So I have no idea how stupid this guy is, in Trump, that is. I have no clue. I mean, one has to be congenitally stupid to be that kind of a moron, that he doesn't understand that his naval blockade is blockading himself. He's blockading himself from stuff getting to him that he needs, that
From
our allies need.
well, from what I've been hearing, he's not willing to listen to really listen to anyone, except when it comes to, trying to pull back on the nuclear weapons. But from what I'm hearing, that's coming from DC, he's not listening to the people who are the closest ones around him. This has turned into more than just Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is he's obsessed with this, and it seems to be all he's greatly focused on at this point in time. And I do feel as though some of this is a distraction. I feel like the reason why this was started was not because Iran could possibly try to get a nuclear weapon. The timing of this just happened to start around the time when the Epstein files were released, or some of those files were released. His name is all throughout those files. And so are his friends' names, as he told Marjorie Taylor Greene that his friends could get hurt. So to me, it seemed like this was a distraction to get people's attention away from that and get them to focus on Iran. And I think the big question that people need to start asking is, what happens when the next person comes in? What happens come 2028? Because Donald Trump's behavior towards Iran and, well, now threatening Oman and all these other countries that are not willing to bend the knee to join a war against Iran, that kind of ruins and taints relationships, right? So the next president that comes into the White House in 2028, they're going to have to repair all of that. And I think that this is something that people have to understand, because there's the US government. And for some countries, some of the leaders, they see it, they say, well, it's the US government, and this is what the US government does. This is what the West has been known to do. When you have these relationships that have been disrupted, sometimes it can take time to repair. And one of the worst things that the Trump administration, worst decision that they decide to make, aside from killing a school of girls, was assassinating Ayatollah Khamenei. Because now everything has changed. Whereas the agreement, the nuclear agreement that was under Obama, still didn't give Iran this much, it didn't give them a lot of autonomy. But it wasn't where we are now, if that makes sense. Now it's like whoever comes in next, where do they even begin to try to repair all of this that has happened? And also, I don't know that Khamenei's son is going to be willing to do that, considering everything that's happened. We're dealing with a different leader now. And so a lot of this could have been prevented if the US and Israel did not decide to assassinate Ayatollah Khamenei. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future just because the leader of the White House changes.
It's a scary situation, Sabrina. It's a very scary situation. Earlier, during the day when we were talking to our one of our founding members, respected military analyst, he was saying, well, he feels that this is similar to what happened in Thailand before that massive tsunami, took effect, because people were on the beach, they were watching the ocean recede, and everything looked great. Nothing was going on, and all of a sudden, a tsunami with 40 feet wall of water, devoured everything. Now, if this moron, somehow, I have no idea how he'll do it, drops an atomic bomb on Iran, from our understanding, from the information that I am honored and privileged to know, Iran does have the ability to pack a nuclear weapon quickly, quickly, that is. And God only knows where that nuclear missile is going to land. They're not going to go down, without a fight. They have shown they cannot go down without a fight. So what happens then? I mean, Iran throws that nuclear weapon at, someplace, maybe Israel. Iran, maybe 10 million people die in Iran. Strait of Hormuz is forever not usable as a waterway to transport fertilizer. Forget about the 25% of the world's oil. No helium comes in, so that no ICs are being made, and no LNGs, coming through, so that people don't have anything to cook on. No cooking gas, no diesel, no aviation fuel, just to satisfy this moron's ego. That's all we're fighting about right now. We're fighting to save his ego.
Yeah, these are things that he isn't really thinking about and doesn't care to think about. To give you an example, Jared Kushner also just published a statement that Gaza will be rebuilt when all demilitarization, when the entire area is demilitarized. So let me explain what that really means. Gaza will be rebuilt when the Palestinians are gone. That's
Yes.
really what that means. Jared Kushner went on to say that if the demilitarization does not happen, Israel can go in full speed and just wipe everybody out.
Yeah.
These are the people that are making geopolitical positions, decisions. Jared Kushner is a private citizen. He's not a government official, but he's making a lot of decisions when it comes to what is going to happen to the fate of the Palestinians that are in Gaza. This is very important. This is not just about Iran. We are talking about a Western takeover in the Middle East that is even bigger than just the greater Israel project. Actually, this extends also to Europe as well, because we know Jared Kushner and Ivanka, they were trying to steal land from the Albanians. I mean, they were also just recently in Iceland. Like, they weren't there just visiting to have fun. They are trying to conquer as much as possible, and the goal is to spread Zionism across the world. If you look at South America, there's a map that's floating around on social media that shows almost all of South America has been conquered by Israel now. Almost all of it. Brazil is still there. Venezuela is pretty much taken now because they captured Maduro and his wife. And so then the Zionist regime is going to go in there. And so it, this is a full scale geopolitical expansion of Zionism. It's not just about Iran. It's not just about a nuclear weapon. That's ultimately what this is. And I think the more people that understand that, the better off everyone else is going to be, because I think it is a mistake when people say the problem is Benjamin Netanyahu. It's not just Benjamin Netanyahu. It is Zionism and the spread of that. Without Benjamin Netanyahu, and there's elections coming up in Israel for him, okay, they'll put in another puppet who will continue the same thing, because everybody, they have the same mission, which is to expand the greater Israel project, not just in the Middle East, but all over the world. And that's what I want everyone to fully understand. So I think what's going to have to happen is that we have those protests have to come back. Oh, we were doing so well with the protests against the genocide for 2 years. We have to bring the massive global scale protests back. And it can't just be about, Gaza and of course Iran. It's really got to be about the ultimate form of control here, which is Zionism.
Well, absolutely, Sabrina. That is exactly what is going on. That is precisely what is going on, and that is one of the drivers of the Mecca Accord. Between Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and now we are informed Egypt is going to join that as well, because they're all very much afraid that this is going to come and at their doorsteps, and so they're taking preemptive action. But tell me, Sabrina, you're a student of history. How is this any different than what Hitler and Himmler and all of those Nazi, criminals were plotting to do and actually did some of it, but now is being carried on by Trump as a stupid guy who's being led dog walked by Netanyahu and Kushner and everybody else.
It's not. It's just a slower path to it. So what we know is that the Palestinians have been killed and beaten and starved and for years. So it's not like this happened like overnight. This has been going on for decades, from the moment the Nakba began. So because it's been done more slowly, I think it's been easier for the world to kind of turn a blind eye to it until, of course, after October 7th. More people were paying attention then. Some people didn't even know what Gaza was until after October 7th, right? So because it was a slower form of genocide and it was stretched out throughout the decades, I don't think a lot of people were just aware of what was happening to the Palestinian people. And I think that was intentional. I think Israel did that in a way that it wouldn't be as obvious to people. Then there's also the brainwashing and the propaganda that happens with the politicians here as well. Some of these politicians, the moment they get in, what do? APAC sends them to Israel. Go take a trip to Israel. They don't take a trip to Gaza. They're not they're
No.
not they're not seeing what the Palestinians are living under. So the programming starts very early on. And then there's some of them that already know what's happening to the Palestinian people, but they choose to stay quiet about it because they want to have a political career. That is failing so far in these recent primary races, where more of the anti-Zionist, free Palestine candidates have been beating these candidates that are taking a lot of that money from APAC and from, J Street, et cetera. So things are turning around. And with after October 7th, if it wasn't for that, I don't feel like we get here at this point right now in time. There are many of us that have been screaming to the rooftops about what Israel was and what Israel's doing, but it took what happened on October 7th and the genocide, after that being live streamed across the world for more Americans who were not aware of the situation there to become aware and then become concerned. And so when these things are stretched out over time, it can be more easier for people to ignore. And then a lot of Americans, again, until it's blasted across social media, we're not paying as much attention to geopolitics. Right? A lot of Americans are paying attention to what's happening right here in the US, what's happening domestically. And unless there's a camera that's put in front of a direct situation and it's blasted across multiple platforms, geopolitical issue, they may not even realize it's happening unless they're really into geopolitics. And that's just the reality. And that was the way that Israel won it. They were actually doing pretty well at that for quite some time, just keeping that kind of quiet, kind of hush. Meanwhile, people have been fired here. People have lost their jobs for speaking out against Israel, right? So it's the same type of behavior that the Nazis did do. It's just now being done by a different group of people. But because we have been propagandized to believe that that group of people can do no wrong and that land belongs to them, once you start pushing back on that, you're smeared with all different types of labels. And again, like I said, some people lose their jobs because of that. That's what we're under right now. And then we have an administration in the US government that is actively announcing that they want to debank and defund organizations and activists that are critical of Israel. This is where we're at now. And so, if there was ever a time that people need to stand up for free speech, it is right now. This may not be your number one issue, it's not for everybody, but they usually start with one issue and then they move to others. So it could only be a certain amount of time before they come after an issue that is your number one issue and they start to censor and silence you there as well.
Well, uh, s- how does this end, Sabrina? This is such a vicious cycle, and Trump cannot get out of it. I mean, he is literally trapped. Uh, we have been saying that on this channel all the time because we are informed by sources that physically have an eye on on the facts on the ground, and they tell us that there is nothing that Trump can do. Nothing. I mean, he's ran out of ammunition. He has no more bases that he can use. All of them have been destroyed. Only three bases still exist in some fashion where people can do certain things, but not very much. So he has no bases. He has no weapons. He has no interceptors. He has no radar. So he's blind basically. He has these ships that are there, and what are they going to do? And everybody has now seen the problems on the ships. It's just not Abraham Lincoln. Obviously, other sailors have been there for this length of time as well. So this guy is trapped. He's talking about nuclear weapons. Uh, Americans may not be paying attention, but they do pay attention to the price of gas. When they go fill their cars, at any station, they are soon going to see significant rises in all other costs. Especially food. So where does this end, Sabrina? What is your view as to the final chapter on this?
I think this is where we'll have to reach for, two tools in our toolbox, right? So one of those tools is electoral politics, the other one is direct action. So let's start with electoral politics. The midterms are coming up. The politicians that are up for election this time around that are taking any type of money from the pro-Israel lobby have to be voted out. That's the big thing, right? And we saw some of these people have already won these primary races that are not taking that money, and they're calling out this type of thing. So this can be done. We see it's more likely to happen now than maybe say it was like 10 years ago, right? So we got to get as many of those people out of Congress as possible, in the House and in the Senate. Then come November, when the midterm elections happen, we have these general elections. You're going to have to, these people got to get in. The people who are not taking the APAC money, they have to get in. The people who are spoken out against it have to get in. And then this is what is going to happen. So they will be sworn in come January. And hopefully this does not even last as long as I'm saying. This war doesn't. But come January, they're going to have to reintroduce the War Powers Resolution. And if we have, you just need a narrow majority. This is the trick. You just need a narrow majority. All you have to have is enough people in the House to pass it, which they already did last time. And then the Senate is going to be the key. We have some people that are trying to get into those Senate seats that are not pro-Israel. That's going to be the determining factor. Pass that war powers resolution that Thomas Massey had pushed earlier on, and end this war. That's one way, the electoral way. The other way is direct action. I think people are a little bit scared now because the way the Trump administration is trying to come after people, but we should have hundreds of thousands of people in the street right now. Like 100. You have to have both. You have to have the leaders, the people in Congress that are willing to do the right thing, and you also have to have the direct action, that push from the outside of electoral politics to push other people in this way and say, listen, we are going to get you out of there, out of office, if you continue to vote in a way that allows this war to go on. So you have to have both of these at the same time. To be honest, the only reason why you're starting to see some politicians like Seth Moulton, for example, stop taking money from APAC, reject it, or some of these politicians are sending their money back to APAC, is because of us. It's because of us that were on the outside, that were protesting. It's not just because they woke up one day and said, oh, I feel bad for the kids in Gaza. No, they knew this was going on for so long. It is because of the pressure that was put on them by the world, not just those of us in the US. Hundreds of thousands of people out in the streets for 2 years. For 2 years, people did that. That was a big part of that as well. We're even starting to see Kamala Harris start to walk back and change some of her position. So it's just, and don't trust her, by the way, but it's just, that doesn't happen without outside pressure. So that needs to be there. And then again, the reality is you have to get those people out of Congress. That's how you change the way people are voting on this legislation. Get that War Powers Act passed and put an end to this war.
Well, amen. Amen, Sabrina. And thank God for voices like yours, voices of other contributors to founding members of this channel. We have been advocating that. Other people have been advocating that. I do have one final question of you, though, and it's a great way to end this conversation on a hopeful note that this we could do this. What do you make of the corporate establishment, that is dominating the Democratic Party, which is the only opposition party that we have, that does not want to do this, that goes out of its way to suppress people, candidates who are advocating this position? I mean, we've seen this in the primaries. They put their thumb on the scale in favor of those who will take APAC money, who will support corporate politics, who will support anybody that is in favor of the war just because the war enriches their pockets.
It's the money. Yeah, you're right. It enriches their pockets. These people are shameful. They are disgusting to me. But they too tend to be Zionists, and they believe in the Israel greater, project. One of the things I continue to tell my viewers is that we have to remember that all of this is connected back to money. So the the state of Israel as it is today, and this plan of a greater Israel project, does not exist without money. It is backed by billionaires and now a trillionaire, Elon Musk. This is a pet project of theirs. So without the money and without the support from like the Rothschilds, for example,
Yes,
you don't
absolutely.
have you don't have it. You don't have a state of Israel. Without the backing of people like Elon Musk, who now also, he bought Twitter, so he owns the social media platform, so he can silence people if they're talking about Israel in such a way. All of these things have to align. And that's how you get the greater Israel project. And this is something that can be prevented. I really do believe it can be. But what it's going to take is that a lot of people, some people don't like this, but a lot of people are going to have to get past left versus right for this to happen. And this is their biggest fear. This is why they're starting to get kind of antsy, because they're starting to see some of the younger Republicans, turn against Israel. That's one of their biggest fears. The last thing they want is for people on the left and the right to agree on foreign policy, especially when it comes to Israel. And God forbid you add the economy to that as well. And people are looking, and people are starting to see, wait a minute, is our government putting more into Israel than they are right here in the United States? And so a lot of people are starting to ask more questions, which is, I think, is a good starting point. But the reality is people are going to have to work along get out of these party lines for this issue. And I think that's a path forward. And I think that's what people like Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, like working together, I think that's something that they were trying to do, right? Like, let's just show people we come together on these particular issues, and let's try to get legislation, submitted to the floor for these issues that we agree on. If the rest of Congress operated that way, we wouldn't have so much dysfunction that we have in DC. Now, the big money would still be there, and that's still a problem. We need to get big money out of electoral politics and have like free elections in the United States. But the reality is like that's what we have there right now at this point in time. So the best thing that you can do is to get the grassroots. We are the largest voice. It's there's not thousands, there's not hundreds and thousands of billionaires and trillionaires. There's more of us, but they don't want you to realize that. So they have to find a way to keep us separate, and they do that by, it's the radical left, it's the radical right, and they keep us divided that way. Because if we didn't have those camps, then everybody would come together on these common core issues, and that would be the end for them. That would be the end for the billionaires and the trillionaires.
Well, on a positive note, Sabrina, I lived through the Vietnam era, and as ghastly as that war was, it went on and on and on and on for a few years before momentum finally built up. But in this case, it is building up a little bit faster because we have social media. Thank God, is speeding up because of voices like yours, like voices that we are promoting a transition protocol, like the voices we had earlier today and other voices. So things are getting out to the public much faster and without a veneer that the corporate media will always put on it. So I mean, Vietnam War, as horrible as it was, went on and on and on and on because of the same lies, same distortions, same divisions, same manufactured victories that did not exist, and so forth. So that is a hopeful note. That is a positive note, and I want to end on this positive note because we need to have hope. We need to have the ability to imagine that this is going to end and something good is going to come out of it. Which is the defeat of the Zionism, the global attempt by Israel to occupy every place. So this is transition protocol. If you like what you have heard, the speakers that we have, the thinkers, please become a paid member. Go to our Substack channel, $5 a month, which is less than the cost of coffee at Starbucks. You can get twice a week this kind of conversation delivered inside your mailbox, and you can hear us, Sabrina, every Monday, same time, and other guests and other founding members of this channel, which thankfully has grown very, very well all across the globe. So thank you very much from my side. Sabrina, would you like to say a final word?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and you can find me on my channel at Sabby
Thank you very much. Please find her at Sabby Sabs. She is a respected voice. She has a unique voice. That is the reason we invited her, and we are so happy and so glad, honored that she is here because she offers a different perspective. Everybody has a unique perspective, and we wanted her perspective on this channel, along with the military analysts, along with the other thinkers that we have. So, thank you very much. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We shall see you again next week. Thank you.